Okay, so just to honor everyone's time, we're going to go ahead and start. Just want to thank you for joining us today. The purpose of this session is to provide an update on all things MISD as we continue to face these unprecedented times. Since there are so many moving parts as we prepare for next school year and beyond with COVID-19, our plan is to hopefully provide a 5 to 7 minute weekly update to our community. So this will happen every Thursday at this time, 12:30. Also, we want this to be a two-way opportunity as much as possible. Within our Zoom software, which you're on right now, we have a box or there's a symbol down at the bottom that says Q&A. So if you would please use that area to pose your questions. We are using that Zoom feature instead of the chat portion due to some Zoom meeting hacks that have happened in neighboring school districts, as well as some city council meetings across the state. So as you have questions, please submit that in the Q&A portion. Also, if you're viewing us on Facebook Live, if you'll use the comment section, we will continue to try to monitor both areas. Our goal is to answer as many questions as we can during the video, and if we can't answer them all, then we will definitely email out the questions along with answers to the community and to parents following this live weekly update. So to start off first with our weekly update, I'd like to encourage you to join us tonight from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. on what we're calling an MISD community-wide thought exchange. You should have received information on this in your email. The thought exchange is really focused on gathering your expectations as parents and community members as we continue to inspire excellence in our students next school year and then beyond. And your thoughts are critical to our planning process, and your involvement in this will allow us to better serve you and your children. We take great pride in ensuring that we seek our parent and staff voice in our decision-making processes. So tonight, this thought exchange will take place on Zoom, and it will also, like this one, be available on the MISD Facebook page, and you can decide which platform works best for you this evening when you access that. Every parent also should have received an email last Friday to invite you to attend the meeting tonight with a video. So if you haven't had a chance, please watch that video. It was sent to you to kind of get you thinking about what the future might hold. And then I followed up this morning with an email with a link for tonight if you want to join us by Zoom. So that link will get you into the Zoom, or you can join us by Facebook Live. We'd love to have you participate in that. Your participation is critical, and I believe this is one of the most valuable opportunities our district has to hear your thoughts, and also for you to hear from your neighbors and other community members on what they believe are the top priorities going into the fall. As you know, before spring break, we were in contact with local and state health agencies regarding COVID-19. We were in contact with them to get insight and recommendations for our students and staff, as many of you began to travel for vacation. It seems like it's been months ago that all that took place, but we were making recommendations because this was just really beginning to come upon us. I can tell you that today we continue to get insight from and collaborate with many individuals and many organizations. We meet, or at least on conference calls, with the Ellis County Health Emergency Team, local health experts, including epidemiologists. We're in constant contact with other school districts in the region and in the county. We receive at least 2 to 3 times a week an update from the Texas Education Agency on a video call with our Commissioner of Education. And then, of course, we gain insight and recommendations and guidance from our governor's office. We are pretty much in contact with one or all of those groups on a daily basis. And as you can imagine, we get new information daily, it seems like. We get new guidance on a regular basis, and sometimes that guidance is contradictory to maybe guidance we had received a week or 2 prior to that, because everyone is learning as we go through this process. Every morning, our district leadership team meets to discuss and make decisions based on the latest information that we have. And we continue to work around the clock monitoring information. We evaluate safety procedures, and we make as many adjustments as possible to serve our students and staff in the best manner that we can. During the past week or so, you may have seen a lot of news related to the recommended school calendar changes from the Texas Education Agency. And then also in the media, there's been some school districts that have come out and said, we are investigating those changes, or we are going to stick with the calendar that we have. The Texas Education Agency made those recommendations in an effort to prepare for future school closures in the event that we have a fall or winter COVID-19 outbreak, or in the event that we cannot go back to school this year in a normal situation. Because the types of challenges and the varied and multiple thoughts on this topic of calendars for next year, next week we're going to go into more detail about the school calendar, and we want to hear from you about the expectations you have. At this time, I can assure you that we have not made a decision, nor have we changed anything about next year's school calendar. So right now, our school calendar that's in place is the calendar that we will follow. We just want your input about the school calendar in case we're required to make adjustments. And we know we want to be able to use those, your thoughts. We want to know your thoughts so that we can make an informed decision moving forward. So the opportunity to provide feedback to us will be next Thursday at 12:30 at this time as part of our lunchtime update. So please plan to attend that if you have an opinion or a feeling about what we should do with our calendar. So moving on to some additional important district information. You may have heard that MISD is in the process of preparing for our 2021 school budget. We've had several budget workshops with our board. We've updated them on the latest numbers and figures based on the state's funding system and from our local tax offices that we have at this time. So as you know, industry budgets can be complicated, and I can assure you the educational budget is no different. We have many laws and rules that we have to follow. These laws and rules in some cases can change annually, but they definitely are impacted every 2 years when our legislature meets, and that creates even more complexity and confusion. So lately, I know there's been some discussion on our budget and our tax rates. And so at this time, I would like to introduce you to Jim Norris. Mr. Norris is our Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operations, and he's going to share with you an update on where we are on the budget planning process. He's going to talk to you a little bit about our goals, and then he's going to clarify some misinformation that's out there regarding our tax rate. So at this time, Mr. Norris, if you would like to join us and share.
Thank you, Dr. Ledbetter, and thank you folks for visiting or for viewing in. We appreciate your participating, and we'll try to give you some information about where we are in our budget process. Dr. Ledbetter said it's very complicated. It changes every year or every other year, at least when the legislature meets. And so we're still dealing with some of the effects of the House Bill 3 that was passed last June. But there's many steps in getting our budget together. First thing, we review the annual goals, our annual goals and initiatives, and we budget according to ensure that our students come first. But at the same time, we want to always offer a competitive package for our people that work here. We recruit and hire the best people we can find. These are all very high priorities for us. In the budget process, we start off meeting off with every principal, and we look at their budget proposal. This gives us a first-hand opportunity over in the business office to know what our students need directly from the high school or the middle school or the elementary they attend. And we recognize that each one of these schools has a unique student population, and that personalized learning is critical to the long-term success. This is why we listen to our campuses first, because they're the closest to our students. Then we meet with every department head. This is where we talk to custodians, maintenance, transportation, food service, health, human resources, learning department. All the different groups get to come and give us their budget plan. And that way we know that each group is aligned to our strategic plan. We look ways to collaborate across the district so that we can cost save, and we can look for ways we can be efficient. We prioritize. And fortunately, no one school or department gets everything they seek, but I can assure you they get everything they need. We do not cut anybody short. We then look at compensation for our staff and what other districts around us are paying and what the market is showing. And that's been important because we want to make sure that we get the best and we can hire the best. We want to make a salary structure that's competitive with people around us, but also rewards our people for the hard work they do. One of our biggest things we look at is the student demographics, because our school district certainly changing over the last few years. Not only are we looking at between 4 and 5% growth for the last 3 years, we're also looking at a change much in our student population. And that's becomes very important because those different student populations are funded differently from the state. Next year, we're looking at a little bit lower growth, about 2.85. That's what our demographer has told us that he thinks it will be. It's very interesting to me because we actually lowered our numbers just last week in our state funds because of that. But it's interesting to me because even the Dallas paper this week was reporting that home sales in the Dallas, Tarrant counties and Denton and Collin and some of those were down in the 20% below what they were last year, while Ellis County was 6% above what it was last year. So we had a little lull there, but we're seeing it come right back. Anyways, as we look at the budget, we also look at the funding that comes from the state. About 40% of our money comes from the state, and that's better than it's been because before House Bill 3, it was more like 30%. With that new formula, we were able to last year, because of the compressed tax rate, and I won't go into all the financial piece there, but it actually lowered your tax rate by 7 cents last year. This year, we're looking at the board and asking them to lower it another 6 cents. The state formula would push it down, and it has, all it has to do is involved with your state, and with your local values. As your local values go up, the state compresses your local tax rate. And that's the only part of this that we can control. And actually, some of that's been taken out of our hands with House Bill 3 because the state's going to set some of that tax rate for us. But we would like to go down another 7 cents. But what's on there this year is that we have a penny that we've been discussing with the board. This penny is an enriched penny. And that's very simply said this: if you have a neighboring school district whose values are not as high as Midlothian, that penny over there doesn't earn as much or make as much as a penny over in Midlothian. The state has a way to enrich that penny over there. Well, we're at that situation where if we raise our tax rate 1 penny, drop it 7, raise it back 1, then we would earn another $618,000 from the state. So I think that's an interesting thing that we need to keep continuing to talk about. There's long-term implications if we don't keep that penny. And so what we want to do is try to work within our budget to get that. So we're working with their board, and we understand they represent taxpayers and stakeholders just like we do. And we're going to work through that and have us a balanced budget at the end of the day. But the main thing I want you to learn today is that we are working very hard for you because you're the stakeholders. Some of you are, I'm sure, employees that are listening to this. We're working very hard for you guys. Parents, we're working hard for your kids to make sure they have what they need. And taxpayers are working hard to make sure this thing is fair to you as well. So thanks a lot for listening. I appreciate it. And I'll turn it back over to Dr. Ledbetter.
Before we close, I just want to remind you that you may have seen the Just the Facts video series out there that we launched on Tuesday. It's kind of in line with what Mr. Norris just talked about. It's going to address topics that are in the community or topics that we feel like are complex that may need to be addressed. And so we do it in a concise manner. So that will be a weekly episode. So if you have topics that you would like for us to address, please email me and we'll try to include those in a future series. So thank you very much for being a part of this. I encourage you to join us tonight on Facebook Live or on Zoom. If you're a parent or community member, you should have received an email on that. If you need information, please email us. Hopefully this has been helpful. And if you have insight or information on the calendar or an idea, please join us next week at this time as well. Thank you very much and have a wonderful rest of your day.